Oh, hello. Don here, Moto Giant. Today I would like to talk to you about a problem in motorcycle design, specifically seat to peg height. Not a big problem if you've got a big long floorboard that sticks out here or adjustable foot pegs that you could push in and out. But for giants like me, it's a big problem because most motorcycles are designed for short people. And by short people, I'm talking about anybody under 6 foot. I'm sorry if you're one of those vertically challenged people, but I don't happen to be in that category. I'm just the opposite. I'm too big. But the fact remains that motorcycles are designed for short people. And it's always been a problem for me, and it's much more of a problem now because of this leg. And the issue I want to talk about today is something I'm going to have to figure out how to overcome before I can ride a motorcycle. Most of the motorcycles that I enjoy riding nowadays are standard riding position. So if you can imagine, typically the riding position is uh, relatively straight up. In other words, sport bikes are typically down here. The pegs are either below your butt or behind your butt, rear set. Cruisers are just the opposite. Most cruisers are designed with forward pegs or floorboards and a more relaxed riding position. Sometimes it's more like this. Sometimes you can buy handlebars that push your arms way back here. You can hold them up high. You can do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. Turn yourself around. There's all kinds of modifications you're going to be able to make on other motorcycles. But one of the things that's the hardest to modify is your foot pegs. And that's one of the things I want to talk about is foot position. Like I said, I'm a standard riding position motorcycle guy. I've had cruisers, I've had sport bikes, I've had, almost every style. I've never owned a scooter, but I think scooters are kind of a neutral position too. But as you can see, I've got trouble bending my knee here. This knee does not like to bend. To get it back to this position here, I have to pull it back, and that hurts. It's very binding right here. And to demonstrate my left foot, which I can bend just fine, I can push it back up under the chair, which is typical, a typical riding position for a standard motorcycle. So most standard motorcycles are going to be something like this. And I can't get my leg back there without bending it like that. So I'm going to have to probably do a couple of things. Probably going to have to modify this suspension system, which is the problem. That's 95% of the problem is the silicone system here. If I can roll down that part of it, I can bend my knee a great deal more. Still a little bit painful, but my last visit, I had to modify or get my prosthetic guy to modify this socket because it had a big tongue that came up like that, and it was getting in my way. And he modified the carbon fiber, and I took this home and I modified this myself. So he cut what was, it was probably about a 1/2 inch here. He cut that down, shaved it down a good bit. And I asked him, he's like, well, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. If you do that, it's going to be less reliable hanging on your leg. And I think he was probably overcautious because I didn't notice any difference there. But it was such a big difference that I basically took this design that he cut off, was basically replicated here. It was a big hump, and I just took a blade and cut that. And it's made a huge difference in my ability to bend my leg. But as you can see, I can bend. The problem is not in my knee. It's all this stuff that is in the way. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of a method, maybe cutting out the rear of this, somehow modifying it. And I'm open to suggestions. Anybody that has a prosthetic, anybody that's watching this has some suggestions or seen somebody else, I don't know what to do. But the only thing that I can think of is maybe cutting a hole in the back of this one and possibly this one, or one or the other. All I know is I've got to be able to bend my knee better than I can right now to be able to ride, because That's, I can get my knee back that far with this thing rolled down, but it's still uncomfortable. And this thing is way up high. If you can see, notice the difference in my legs, where they're at. This knee is inches above this knee. So I've got some issues. I want to have them resolved before I get on the bike, or be able to resolve them soon after I get on the bike, because the bike that I'm going to get is not a cruiser. It's not made for the legs to be out here. I kind of wish it was, but that's not my riding position. I don't feel comfortable, especially riding cross country. A lot of people report going, man, I can ride for days. Like, I can't. The only way I can ride for hours and hours and hours every day is, number one, be able to sit in what is a comfortable position for me. And number two, and I've preached this for many, many years, is if you're riding across country, you got to get some blood flow to your ass, because you're sitting on your ass all day. And the only way I know to do that, there's only two ways: to stop and get off your bike, or to get up on your pegs. If you're standing, or at least have your ass up off your pegs, you get some blood flow to your ass cheeks, and you can ride. I can ride. I've done many, many, many 14, 16-hour days on the bike. I've done a couple of 18-hour days, which is painful. It's not fun. Once you get up above 12, 14 hours, it's not fun. I don't do very many long days anymore because I'm old. My attention span is poor already, and the longer I ride, the more dangerous I become. But yeah, if you have any ideas of what I can do to bend my knee, as you can see, all this stuff is bunched up under here. It's kind of like just imagine wrapping your knee in like 3 or 4 layers of ace bandage. That's what you should do. You got some ace bandage laying around the house, wrap your knee in a bunch of ace bandages and see how far you can bend it. It's very uncomfortable, number one, and number two, I don't have the range of motion. I can't go. I mean, you can see it. I pushed this thing all the way in as far as I can go, and that's it. And that's as far as I can go, and it's uncomfortable as hell, and I can still go in with this foot. So if I could put this foot up underneath, basically where my seat is going to be on my next motorcycle, I should be able to do the same thing here. And I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but it's one of those things that I've got to overcome. The only thing I've got planned right now is lowering brackets for my foot pegs, and I would like to do that anyway. That the motorcycle I'm getting is pretty close to perfect. The only thing that I would like to do, and I was thinking this when I first rode the motorcycle, is back when I had 2 legs, like, man, if I could just get an inch or 2 lower, this would be a perfect motorcycle. Not only that, the bars were pretty close to perfect when I got up on the pegs. And I was thinking, man, an inch or 2 would make all the difference. But lowering the pegs would automatically bring the bars up to where I like to have them. Like, I don't like riding stooped over like that when I'm on the pegs. And I am a little bit. But if I raised them up a couple of inches, inch and a half, 2 inches, it would make all the difference. But anyway, that's what I've got to work on in the next week or so. Hoping to pick up the motorcycle Sunday. So I'm going to know exactly what I need to deal with in order to be able to ride comfortably and safely, and achieve all my hopes and dreams. Vote for Pedro and all your dreams will come true.